Hello everybody. Hope you are all well. We have set up and configured the development environment for our project on Windows OS in the previous tutorial. To get the link to the tutorial, click the I button in the top corner or check the description box. Now we will set up and configure the development environment for our project on Mac OS. Actually, the setup and configuration for both Mac and Linux OS are the same. Like the previous tutorial, we're starting with the GitHub repository setup. Here I am writing .crm Mac as the repository name. Now we will add a gitignore file where we will select Python as the language. And finally we are adding a README file so that we can write any project-related instructions in this file. And then click the Create Repository button. So here is our repository created. Here I will copy the SSH link to clone the project. I am using the SSH link because SSH is configured on my PC. I will not show configuring SSH here because many videos related to this already exist. We will only focus on development. Now paste the copied SSH link to clone the project. And select a directory where our clone project will be stored. Here I am using the Git plugins of VS Code Editor. I am creating a new folder where we will store this project. You can create the directory as per your choice. Now, click on the Select as Repository Destination button, and the project will start cloning from GitHub. At this time, your GitHub may ask for a password for authentication, which you will need to provide. Now you will get an alert prompt to open the project in the editor. In my case, I'm just opening the project in the editor by clicking the Open button. Like my last tutorial, here too I will use the VS Code Editor's Git plugins to maintain version control. Now let's open a new terminal to create our Django project. I'm expanding the terminal a little so that it's easier to see the commands I'm going to type. It is a good practice to develop Python projects in an isolated environment. Here, I will create a development environment in a virtual environment. So, type python3-m-venv and then type name of the virtual environment. In my case, my virtual environment name is env. Okay, our virtual environment is ready. Here you see a folder named env has been created. Although using Docker is a best practice. Later, I will share with you a complete professional real-life project development tutorial using Docker. So subscribe to my channel to get tutorials on real-life projects. Now type source env/bin/active, then hit enter. Notice here that our virtual environment has been activated according to the name of the virtual environment we created, which is shown inside a bracket at the very beginning. Now, we will install the Django framework into our virtual environment. So to install it, type pip install Django. Look, the Django installation has started. It will take a very short time to install. Okay. Our Django installation is complete. We all know that every framework has its own ecosystem. So, Django also has its own ecosystem. Our first task is to create a Django project. To create a Django project, type django-admin space start project, then type the name of the project. In this case, we are typing CRM as the name of our project. Our Django project is created. Here we see a folder named CRM created. Now to run our project we need to enter the directory CRM. So, type cd space CRM and hit enter. Now type python manage.py run server. Here the manage.py file acts as the main driving force. Great. Our project has successfully run on port 8000. Click on this link to verify the project and see if it actually run or not. Wow! Great. Our project runs successfully. So, we have already created the Django project. Now, we need to create an app for this project, which can be called an infrastructural process of the Django framework ecosystem. Actually, I like this process because in particular, the management and maintenance of a large-scale application project development has to be considered. This process plays a very helpful role in developing a large-scale application. I will share more details about this while working on this project. So, to create an app, type python space manage.py start app, then give the name of your app. In this case I am giving the name web app. Okay, our app is created. Look here, a folder named web app has been created inside the CRM directory. Now we need to register this web app in our project. So, To register, we need to add it to the list of installed apps section in settings.py file. It is part of the Django framework ecosystem. While registering the app, be careful that the name of the app must be inside the invited comma and must end with a comma, as I show here. Honestly, I like this process a lot, because in the case of large-scale application development, there are usually many modules that we can easily consider as apps and develop them, which makes project development management quite easy. It's a bit like microservice architecture, but the Django framework is not actually a microservice architecture. Since Django is an ORM web framework, it is capable of performing almost all database operations with its own engine. By default, it is configured with an SQLite database, which is defined in the database section of the settings.py file. I will also show you how to configure it with other databases later. But now we need to create the default database tables for Django. So, to do that, type python manage.py space migrate, then hit enter. Great. The default Django tables have been created in the database. Django provides a default admin panel. So to access that admin panel, we need to create a super admin user. So let's create a super admin user. Type python manage.py create super user. Now enter a username. In my case, I typed admin. Now enter an email address, although you can skip this by pressing enter if you want. Enter password now. Enter the same password again. Don't be scared by this red text. Just type Y and hit enter. I entered the same username and password and made them smaller, that's why this warning is being shown. Now let's run the project by typing python manage.py run server. Okay. Now we see the project is running on port 8000. So let's check the admin panel now. To check the admin panel, type /admin at the end of the URL and hit enter. Wow. Great. This is the login page to access our Django admin panel. So, let's enter the username and password of the superuser we created and then login. Wow. Great. We have successfully logged into the Django admin panel. And here we see the superuser we created. So far we have set up the development environment, created a Django project and created an app inside it, and finally we have configured the Django admin panel. Great. Now we need to push all the work we have done to GitHub to maintain version control, and we will definitely use the Git plugins of the VS Code editor. I repeat that we will focus only on project development in this tutorial. So I will not cover Git commands or any other additional topics here. So here we type the message which we know as the Git message. Now, select commit and push option to push to GitHub. And click yes for confirmation. At this stage, GitHub may ask for a password for authentication which you will need to provide. Great. Finally, we were able to successfully push to Git. So, now let's verify whether our work has been uploaded to GitHub or not. Let's select our repository first. Wow. Nice. Here we can see all our work, so it has been successfully uploaded to GitHub. And both the project folder and the app folder exist here, and each folder has its own files inside it. So, we have successfully completed the development environment setup, initial Django project setup, and GitHub configuration as version control for our CRM project. In the next section, we will start our CRM web application development work. So, if you are not yet subscribed to the channel and want to get more real-life project tutorials, then subscribe to my channel. So hopefully we'll see you in the next section.